Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, coming back at you with a very quick Destiny video just showing off the differences between the Counterbalance perk both before and after patch 2.3 went into effect. We know this patch affected Counterbalance, and Bungie has stated that they've basically knocked its effectiveness from 90% down to 80%. Now I'm going to be showing the Counterbalance perk on all three archetypes of auto rifles. I've got the Arminius D here, I've got the Hawkgon's Hatchet, and I've got the Questing Beast. A maximum rate of fire, medium rate of fire, and low rate of fire archetype of auto rifle respectively. And we're going to be showing you just how Counterbalance affects each and every one, both before and after the patch. I took some of this footage a couple of days ago in preparation for the patch, so we could see just how heavily Counterbalance gets affected. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into this thing and see what Counterbalance used to work like. Alright, so first things first, we've got the Arminius D before patch 2.3.2, and as you guys might remember from some of my previous videos, Counterbalance basically eliminates all of the horizontal recoil and causes your gun to fire essentially straight up. It was a very noticeable perk on bullet hoses, and it made those guns basically trivial to control. It's really easy to control their recoil pattern when you've got Counterbalance on. As you can see here, even when you ADS, the gun would shoot straight up. Alright, now that we've seen that, let's take a look at how this perk performs on the Arminius D after patch 2.3. This is the same gun, I just took the scope off for better viewing here, but this is the Arminius D with Counterbalance after patch 2.3. And as you can see pretty immediately here, there is a noticeable leftward pull on the Arminius D now with Counterbalance on. The recoil is still mostly vertical, but you'll notice that the gun starts to pull slightly to the left shortly after you start firing. It feels like a fairly subtle change on this archetype of auto rifle, and for the most part doesn't affect its recoil pattern too much. And even with these new changes, Counterbalance still makes the recoil really easy to control on this archetype of auto rifle, so it's not too different from how it was before. Alright, next up, let's take a look at the Hawkgon's Hatchet before patch 2.3. As you can see here, just like the Arminius D, this thing fires straight up. It had some very easy to control, very manageable recoil before the patch, so nothing really too surprising there. Now let's check out Counterbalance's effect on this gun after patch 2.3. Alright, so using the hatchet after the patch, I noticed a much more immediate, much more severe pull to the left. Like, way more so than I did with the Arminius D. With Counterbalance on this gun now, it pulls to the left very quickly after you start shooting, and I actually now found it to be the hardest of the three auto rifle archetypes to control. Though overall it's still fairly simple to control the recoil pattern on this gun, the Counterbalance change has had a clear effect. Alright, now finally let's check out the high impact, low rate of fire archetypes. We've got the Questing Beast here with Counterbalance on. This is what it looked like before patch 2.3. As you can see here, this thing has very little deviation, almost goes completely straight up. Again, no big surprise there. In addition to the lower rate of fire autos being a little bit easier to control natively, Counterbalance was just the perk of choice here, cutting out virtually all of the horizontal recoil and giving your gun a very easy to control pattern. Alright, and here it is after patch 2.3 with Counterbalance. Surprisingly, this is the archetype that you'll notice the change the least, as I barely noticed any real difference in the way Counterbalance affects this gun's recoil pattern really at all after the patch. It almost looks the exact same as it was before. With this archetype, Counterbalance after the patch still gives you a very linear rise in your recoil, meaning the gun is super easy to control and handle. And it seems in my testing, the Counterbalance changes have had the least amount of impact on the low rate of fire, high impact auto rifles. And surprisingly, it seems to have had the most effect on the medium rate of fire auto rifles rather than the high rate of fire ones. I thought that was interesting, but overall the Counterbalance changes haven't been too bad. For the most part, the perk still makes your weapons really easy to control. You're not really going to have much more trouble than you did before the patch. So you definitely don't have to go looking to replace all of your current Counterbalance rolled weapons. But alright guys, that's going to be it for this one. Be sure to let me know what you think of all of the changes in patch 2.3 down in the comment section below. Have you tried out Counterbalance after the patch? What do you think of it? But alright, that's going to be it for this one guys. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.